help me holding on, 'cause I still feel your hello, hello. I know that I'm living with ghosts.
Survivor Series WarGames.
No offense, but we are kinda reaching overkill levels when it comes to the WarGames match, like how WWE overdid it with the Hell in a Cell event at the TLC event.
Home to the 2010 Winter Olympics and the 6-time.
But we're not gonna mention the hockey team over here because they Canucks seem to get the job done ever. For practically the entire build-up, Bianca Belair was the one seemingly leading the team into WarGames, but when we actually get to WarGames, it's Rhea Ripley who's become the captain. Also, I'm instantly giving this event 30 sins because this is the most nonsensical WarGames match I have ever seen. On one side, you got the whodunit situation with Jade Cargill, Bianca agreeing to team with Bayley, who oddly agrees to team with Io Sky, who oddly agrees to team with Bianca and Bayley. And then on the other side, you got Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton teaming with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez after all the humiliation the latter two did to them. Oh, and Candice LeRae is also there for some reason. Also, I never thought I would do this, but this event gets the return of a 30-sin penalty for Cody Rhodes not defending the WWE Championship within the last 3 freaking months. Isn't it bad enough that the part-timers were doing that? Now the full-timers are doing it. Don't even get me started on the Judgment Day acting like Logan Paul when he was champion. 12 minutes of entrances, and Bianca Belair spends over a whole minute just standing in one spot dancing. That is definitely padding the runtime. Judging by a lot of the crowd reactions and the fact that this is the first time Vancouver has hosted a premium live event in 26 years, this sign is wrong on so many levels.
But she's never won a WarGames match.
Well, guess who conveniently wins this match right as Michael Cole said that? I gotta say, Rhea Ripley was very creative with the idea of putting on a demon mask for her entrance instead of the discount Cody Rhodes mask from 2011. Here's to hoping she doesn't accidentally stab someone in the eye with it though. Creative, but hazardous.
Strategies for the team.
Perhaps Bayley should have entered last, or the production team should have restarted her music because it feels weird to have Bayley make her entrance using Rhea Ripley's music.
Especially when Miss Money in the Bank's on it.
Damn, an arena filled with nearly 18,000 people and you got pin drop silence for Candice LeRae. I don't know if I should feel bad for Candice on getting no reaction, or the fans for not realizing how talented Candice is. Help me out here, guys.
Talking about a lot of statistics, the reason for that
is because undefeated streaks will end and losing streaks will finally notch a win. You can tell Nia Jax absolutely hates everything right now, having to walk to the ring using Liv Morgan's music.
Nia in first, and Bayley looking to use.
We're less than 15 seconds into the match and already we got miscommunication with Bayley ducking from non-existent punches. Something tells me this isn't going to be a good match.
Her team is the goal you want is.
Want to know how terrible those stomp attempts were? Even if Bayley stayed where she was, Nia Jax would have missed her head entirely, and it would look completely obvious too. It looks like even the competitors in this match don't want to be there because of how poor and random it was created.
That's such a dominant 2024 as this year comes to a close.
Are these ladies competing as if they're in the middle of New York City traffic? Nia Jax is slow running, Bayley slowly moving out of the corner, Nia slowly reaching for a punch. Do I have to start doing these videos in slow motion too, just to make this situation look normal?
Go 2-1, 3-2.
And this is why having cameramen actually inside the cage is a bad idea. Can hardly see what's going on and a high chance of getting crushed. And on top of all that, the cameras are so close that you can hear Bayley tell Nia to give her an elbow shot. Conversations during matches sin activates.
Rock bottom in your house event, The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
On paper, those matches sound exciting, but Rock Bottom was also credited as one of the worst pay-per-view events WWF ever produced throughout the 1990s, so this promotion of the last time Vancouver hosted a pay-per-view is indeed as awkward as I made it.
And Bayley!
I'm sorry, but no. One of the most frustrating things about the bigger wrestlers selling for the smaller wrestlers is they have to make themselves look intentionally stupid while they wait for their smaller opponent to actually do something. In this case, Nia Jax only took a couple of shots from Bayley, who holds her hand to slowly ascend the ropes and jump for the Hurricane Rana. I heard you say catch, Bayley.
Nia Jax right now. Bayley went face first into the cage.
Actually, she went face first against the bottom rope, which prevented almost her entire body, sans her legs, from hitting the steel cage.
Nia just taking her time.
Which is the theme of about 99% of this entire 40-minute match, unfortunately. Perhaps the crowd in Vancouver sucks tonight because this match put them all to sleep. Happy birthday, Naomi, but competing in a WarGames match while wearing a party hat looks pretty dumb, all due respect.
Gotta survive for
Hey look, a toilet seat! Naomi brought in a representation of the build-up to this WarGames match and the execution of said WarGames match.
Tiffany takes out a colorful kendo stick.
Michael Cole must be seeing colors on a colorful kendo stick because that is not Tiffany Stratton entering the ring at all.
This is not good news for Bayley and Naomi.
Actually, I think Bayley and Naomi will be perfectly fine considering how slow and ineffective Nia Jax is swinging the kendo stick. They can't even use the weapons correctly. And if you're not going to swing with all your might like wrestlers do 100% of the time, then why bother bringing weapons into the ring?
Little payback here.
This gets even more awkward because Nia Jax had to reposition the toilet seat so Naomi could perform the stink face without it blocking the way.
Having a field day with the WWE champ. Oh!
That's not Cody Rhodes. He's not even scheduled to be in this arena at all tonight.
Nia Jax is using and Naomi.
Herself and Jax just
Throughout this entire match, all weapon shots have been some of the softest and worst I've ever seen. I can't believe I'd ever say this, but this match actually had me saying, you know, you don't need to use weapons to make a WarGames match look good. Matter of fact, here's an extra 100 sins for the wrestlers not even trying to conceal them protecting their opponents and taking the fun out of weapons in WarGames.
swinging wildly with a steel chair.
Sure, if they were the snail species.
Is in trouble.
Because of how long it took Nia Jax to interfere and save Candice LeRae, everyone looked like fools standing around. Come on, ladies, you're way more talented than this. What the fuck happened?
First for Bayley.
Hit that!
You were better off with Nia giving Bayley a body slam into the chairs because at least that would look good. The moonsault looked nice, but the point of it was to make a brutal moment of Bayley getting a moonsault through the chairs, and instead, well, that happened. Might as well, this entire match has been trashed, so how appropriate that a trash can is next on the list of weapons.
Lifeless in there.
The fans are chanting, "We want tables," when they just got tables. That chant is supposed to be done when tables have not been introduced, not when they just arrived.
Taken out mysteriously.
Oh, still got to be in the back here.
How much longer is this match? Almost everything is a botch or a poor coordination so far, and it's more sad that it is upsetting.
That could be the
Ow, my hands!
Able to duck underneath.
Fucking what? That had to be one of the worst catching of a chair I've ever seen. The slow swing, Naomi catches it, and Nia instantly lets go and accepts that she lost that battle. What the actual fuck is going on?
Defeated Bayley at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship.
Io Sky defeated Bayley at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Another one of these crazy Appleton matches where it was Io who ended up finishing her own story against Bayley, who somehow got the WWE Championship from Roman Reigns.
Io, though!
Well, at least you tried.
And Io with a steel chair to the...
Not even Io Sky could properly utilize a chair, and we have seen her swing chairs much better than that over the years too.
Back in the night that dominated.
this moment in the
Raquel Rodriguez pulls out a table, searches for some other weapons with no success, and then enters the cage, leaving the table behind in the process. As if this couldn't get any worse.
team is no longer in charge.
I agree, Rhea. Judging by your reaction to the toilet seat in the last 25 minutes of this match, I too am questioning whose bright idea this was.
Protect the mask!
Since Liv Morgan knows Rhea Ripley so well, why didn't she just aim for the legs? There would be a guarantee that Liv would hit her target and Rhea wouldn't have anywhere to duck.
Hasn't she done enough?
Oh my God!
Damage!
It takes literally 30 freaking minutes before something good actually happens in this match, and it's also rendered useless when Rhea Ripley gets back up like she did not just take several baseball bat shots to the midsection. It's time for the big moment of both Io Sky and Tiffany Stratton each jumping off the top of the steel cage, and Tiffany has to sit around and wait while Io unties the harness attached to the garbage can. She's even got a look on her face that says, "Will you hurry up already?"
Can she cash in here? Yes, she can!
Holy shit, Corey! Give me the rules on how this would be legal right now. Would the entire match be cancelled and Tiffany is the only legal wrestler along with the champion she chose? Does it become every woman for herself? Yeah, we're not gonna know, are we? Also, this is the second year in a row where someone tries to cash in their Money in the Bank contract in the middle of a WarGames match, and the second year in a row where it doesn't take place. If you're gonna do this next year, actually go through with it because this is super frustrating. Not to mention the constant teases on a PLE where Tiffany Stratton tries to cash in and backs out because she got caught. Overdoing it big time.
Finally gets her in!
And instead of immediately going to town on Liv Morgan after all these months of chasing her, Rhea Ripley takes all the time in the world doing absolutely nothing. Even despite losing the match, Raquel Rodriguez is still trying to tag herself in. Honestly, I'm just glad we're done here and can move on. Next. What's awkward about this is Carmelo Hayes and Andrade had to go through a best-of-7 series of singles matches just to get a United States Championship match, and all Shinsuke Nakamura had to do was show up and attack LA Knight. Oddly enough, those two I mentioned also tried that and didn't immediately get their shot. My point being, Carmelo and Andrade went through so many hoops and it didn't work out for either of them. When I first started hearing the new theme for Shinsuke Nakamura, I was concerned because Def Rebel doesn't exactly have a good reputation lately. But honestly, this wasn't that bad and fits Shinsuke's new persona. I'll take one sin off, even though that won't do much for the total after that last match. The crowd is live and loud for the colorful bars on the screen. The craziest return to WWE since CM Punk last year.
WWE long hard road.
Huh, that's a funny coincidence. On the night LA Knight drops the United States Championship to Shinsuke Nakamura, he ends up literally dropping the championship on the floor. Oops.
In the United States Championship at Chump SummerSlam.
Champion kick ship at Chump SummerSlam. Not as bad as Ronda Rousey saying the Royal Rumble was last summer, but still a funny botch.
And this is a big night for Shinsuke Nakamura.
Likely because he has been repackaged in 2023, lost every feud, and then disappeared to be repackaged again here. One more loss and Shinsuke could never be taken seriously ever again. That's how pathetically sad his booking on the main roster has been since WrestleMania 34.
Again, remember, champion's advantage.
A lot of yeah my hands, yeah my hands, yeah my hands.
You're only going to compete in the one ring.
And it's still unknown if a wrestler gets disqualified for stepping foot in the ring not being contested for this match.
Everybody is.
Oh!
LA Knight connects a DDT which causes Shinsuke Nakamura to turn his body in a different direction than he logically would have fallen.
That time.
Quite a number of cameras with poor connections, or is this a Peacock thing where everything always messes up?
Of LA Knight, not.
Shinsuke Nakamura is addicted to LA's Knights. Be careful, man. When this sort of thing happens, Shinsuke becomes obsessed with doing it again and again and again.
What was effective?
That one awkward moment when a scorpion death drop on the metal beam connecting the two rings together was more brutal than literally everything that happened in the women's WarGames match combined. Normally I'd remove a sinful brutality, but that reality is just sad to think about. True Classic commercial gets a True Classic skip from yours truly. By the way, if we're going to make a commercial where Otis is supposedly strutting through the hall naked from the waist down, then at least have the workers in the shot react as though he actually is. Because nobody would see that and pretend it's a normal day.
I'm coming after you, and I'm coming after Sheamus.
This is what I love about Braun Breaker, a freak athlete in the ring, got the tools to be a future face of the company, and is not afraid to take on multiple challengers at once, even as a heel. Take notes, everyone. This is how you look like a true threat in the wrestling industry. Sheamus is non-pyro. Also, if you only ever watched WWE Premium live events but not the weekly shows, you'd easily miss the very short period Sheamus had his classic theme song written in my face. I still don't know why they brought it back for a month all just to get rid of it again.
Remember the match against LA Knight at the Battle in Berlin back in September.
First of all, it was Bash in Berlin, not Battle in Berlin. Secondly, that event was in August, not September. Thirdly, Ludwig Kaiser did not even compete at that PLE. It was on SmackDown.
Dozens of Hall of Famers have held
Dozens of Hall of Famers have held the Intercontinental Championship, and I will list them for you right now, cliche. What the hell is this asshole right here pointing his phone at? The match is taking place to your right, and nobody is sneaking up at ringside either.
Survivor in a traditional Survivor Series match.
What's a traditional Survivor Series match? Oh, yeah, what this event was created for in the first place. Maybe WWE should do the right thing and bring that back, you know.
And a
Well, holy shit, that was a perfect example of an out-of-nowhere shoulder tackle. Braun Breaker was already flying by the time he appeared in the shot. Amazing.
Breaker! Holy shit!
In the legendary words of Pat McAfee, say it! Say it! Don't be afraid to say holy shit once in a while, especially when we go to Netflix. Some moments warrant that phrase, family-friendly or not. Hell, PG movies these days have multiple usages of the word shit.
We may have a new Intercontinental Champion.
Why would you say that? Seriously, man, you just had to jinx Sheamus' momentum by saying that phrase.
With the shillelagh. Kaiser!
Sheamus swipes the shillelagh from Ludwig Kaiser and chooses to hit a clothesline over the barricade instead. Sure, he had the weapon in his hand, but none of it connected with Ludwig. It's moments like these that make us love wrestling so much. Just when you think Sheamus has finally won his first Intercontinental Championship, Ludwig Kaiser interrupts it by pulling the referee out of the ring. In a triple threat, if you're not close enough to break the pin, then yank the referee out of the ring. Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Out in the ring, you a general, but on the streets, I'm a king.
That's gotta be one of the most badass lines anyone can say. Sure, living on the streets suck, but Damian Priest turns an insult into something awesome. Don't fuck with him.
Maybe Gunther has lost his aura of invincibility.
Gunther has only been pinned in 2 singles matches since debuting on the main roster nearly 3 years ago. I wouldn't say that means his aura of invincibility is lost.
WrestleMania, Gunther viewed as a fluke. Crown Jewel is a different circumstance.
So Sami Zayn successfully beats Gunther with several haluva kicks and a pin in the middle of the ring, to which Gunther believes that to be a fluke. But Cody Rhodes, who merely escaped with a roll-up at Crown Jewel, Gunther doesn't consider to be a fluke? Do I got that right?
He is dealing with big shoulder tackle.
That was actually a running elbow strike from Damian Priest, so if there's anything that should be in pain, it's his elbow, as the shoulder was not in contact nor put in an awkward position. I'm with you, Damian. We have been spending the first 5 minutes with a slight advantage, followed by Gunther running outside the ring for long periods of time. I'd be annoyed too.
It's a bonus.
Damian Priest has been writhing in pain because of his injured shoulder, but when Gunther is literally pulling the injured appendage to get him back up, not a single wince of pain. Logically, Damian should be screaming in pain from being pulled up than he would if the shoulder was kicked. Gunther really knows his torture strategies. The sight of Damian's arms being held up like that are making my own shoulders crack in pain. Or was that from when I drank too much eggnog during the holidays and fell down the stairs?
And face first, Gunther using his good arm.
Indeed, Gunther used his good arm to cause himself to fall face first into the ring canvas while trying to make Damian Priest look like he was doing something. It was difficult for Damian to perform simple clotheslines with his injury, but suddenly he has no problem stretching out both arms and pulling Gunther with him in the triangle choke.
Top rope.
Not gonna lie, for a Hurricane Rana from the top rope that was never going to look perfect, both men did a great job ensuring each other's safety. Little weird how Gunther does a side roll instead of a flip, but it was still worth giving credit for.
A big chop.
Damian's chop to Gunther was so devastating that the camera cut to black so that we couldn't see it. And I scanned the audience before this. Nobody did anything controversial or show that one guy whose name remains unknown for the last 17 years.
And another clothesline.
The next 2 minutes of this match is just Gunther taunting the fans, waiting for Damian to get up, connecting a clothesline, and repeat.
Priest able oh my goodness.
Well, you know what they say, get too overconfident after succeeding the first time and you're bound to fail the second time. While Gunther landed in the ring, Damian could have suffered a much worse injury on his fall to the outside floor. Immediate 100 sins for repeating the same result as SummerSlam, as Damian Priest loses to Gunther thanks to Finn Balor interfering. And as a result, Damian's feud with Judgment Day starts all over again after he literally destroyed Finn every single time they faced off when Finn didn't run away. Now we're doing it again, and it still doesn't help Finn's case, who continues to run away and get his ass kicked. Terrible, lazy writing.
Roman Reigns, the island of relevancy.
Christian Maracle, the God of Sins. While this main event is, for the most part, WarGames done right, it's still awkward to have Bronson Reed and CM Punk as a part of this due to each team needing a 5th member. While they could have just stuck with 4-on-4 and keep things with simply the Bloodline family. Bronson was in the midst of feuding with Seth Rollins and CM Punk was, well, he needed some time to kill, plus it was a fun reason for Paul Heyman to return. So it seems Bronson is the most random member here. The graphic labels this entire group as the Bloodline despite the fact that Bronson Reed is not a member of the Bloodline. Also 14 entire minutes of entrances, and that was including one of the teams entering all at once too.
Engage with him? Not at all.
Tama Tonga attempting to audition to be the next Spider-Man. I wonder if he should be accepted with that performance. And then that one girl tumbles to the floor while trying to reach for the sign she dropped and suffers a GTS from the entrant CM Punk. But also, she's so high up in the stands, did she actually think she could reach for her sign? All in London.
Yeah, look at
Okay, but what was the point of blanking the screen this time? Once again, nobody was mouthing any cuss words and nobody in the audience was showing their breasts. So are we just having a constant technical difficulties? Oh boy, Netflix is going to be so much fun if that's the case. It takes Punk's entire entrance before Alicia Taylor realized she forgot to introduce him. Whoopsie. Either the pyrotechnics are not cooperating with Roman Reigns getting into his pose, or Roman is not positioning himself at the right time of the music when the pyro hits. Moments ago, CM Punk literally shoved Bronson Reed through the cage, so what's stopping Bronson from returning the favor by shoving Roman Reigns right here? Just like Crown Jewel, I love that Jey Uso was the last one to enter even over Roman Reigns. Some might think it's because he started the WarGames match, but I disagree entirely, as Bayley started the first match earlier despite entering the arena before Rhea Ripley. I believe this is done because Jay has the better music that gets the crowd hyped, and it shows how far he's come as a big-time main event player in 2024. I'll remove 5 sins.
What a wild card, Tama Tonga.
Smart strategy simply from Jey Uso cautiously exiting the first ring and entering the second, because even if Tama Tonga is on the top rope on the other side of the cage, he could still strike at any moment. Jey Uso be like, alright man, now that I slowly enter this ring with you on the ropes, I'm going to return to the other ring and stand on the ropes. Your turn to cautiously enter. Yeet! Holy shit! And here I thought WWE would not top all those logos they forced me to watch at WrestleMania 38, because in this one shot, I literally count 36 fucking logos. No, please don't be an Omen of 2025.
Worse than the next.
Flash.
And people want to make fun of Tonga Loa simply for existing. Here we got Tama Tonga going for a pinfall early on in the WarGames match with everyone else still in shark cages.
This time, hits the...
Tama literally ducked this very same move about a minute ago because he instantly recognized what Jey Uso was going to hit, but when Jey goes for the exact same thing move for move, Tama doesn't duck the second time.
Big Bronson.
Maybe the weapons should be placed elsewhere under the ring because Bronson Reed stood up and hit his head on the door. Unfortunately, that's not the worst injury coming for him tonight.
Desperate measures and...
Jey Uso had the perfect reaction to Bronson Reed swiping the chair away from him in midair. A simple saying of shit, and that's enough for me to take 3 more sins off.
Jimmy's brother, I should say Jay's brother.
10 years ago, this would have been an understandable mix-up as we never knew which one was Jay and which one was Jimmy. But now they both have their own identity and unique style of look.
So, gonna even things up.
Taking a sin off for Jimmy Uso basically saying, fuck the weapons, my brother is in danger, and immediately jumping into the cage. Anyone else would run to the ring, but then halt to grab an overdose of weapons for the next 2 minutes.
Jimmy delivering the 10th and now.
Because Jimmy missed his cue, Jay was standing around waiting for something to happen while Bronson Reed awkwardly stumbles like a recently divorced man at a bar.
Tonga Loa will enter the fray.
Solo Sikoa is addicted to Tonga Loa by waiting until after the door opens before telling him that Jacob Fatu is next. You couldn't have told him that before he was about to step out? At least when Roman Reigns was giving orders, it was badass. Solo is just an asshole.
Samoan drop though by Jey Uso to Fatu.
Jacob Fatu takes a Samoan drop and immediately does a kip up. This type of no-selling is done right because of how much Jacob is promoted as an unstoppable and deadly beast. Take notes, everyone.
Loyalty. I love you, Solo. God!
Jacob Fatu deserves more sins removed for that amazing set of moves. The handstand on the ropes, causing his legs to whack Jimmy into the cage, followed by a moonsault on Jay. This man deserves all the praise and all the success in WWE once he leaves the bloodline and goes on his own. Now we're in the moment where Roman Reigns is an asshole towards CM Punk by blocking his path. That is how you do it when you're giving orders in the shark cage, because it causes everyone's jaws to drop like me at last year's Survivor Series. You just know there's going to be a fantastic feud on the horizon from this. What I love about this is not everyone brings out weapons when it's their turn to enter the WarGames match. Bronson Reed brought in some chairs, but nobody else has gotten weapons since, proving you don't need weapons to make a WarGames match look good. Save those for later, and don't overdo it like earlier tonight. I'm removing a lot of sins here, aren't I?
Not have the temperament of CM Punk.
We interrupt Survivor Series 2024 to bring you anytime I was playing with my baby nieces and nephews on the floor when they did that to me all the time. They're growing up so fast, too.
Doing this because he's a good guy.
Am I really going to remove a sin for a simple handshake? Of course I am! The awkwardness of the scene is so hilarious. I think I've removed more sins in this match than I've added.
Gets the blessing of...
And then Solo says, psych! And pushes Tonga Loa back into the cage while he steps out for the match instead.
Some enhancements.
Now he's got...
Tonga Loa pulls out a table knowing full well that's the only way the crowd would ever cheer for him. How sad. Even the door to the cage doesn't want Tonga Loa involved in this match as it closes on him when he gets the table ready to go inside.
He's a savage. He competes.
Roman Reigns must have told CM Punk twice, so I guess Punk asked him if he's seen the new Gladiator film, to which Roman responded twice. Hey, gotta talk about something to ease the tension and await your turn.
And Roman...
Karma's a bitch. Not the wrestler, the term.
Here we go.
Seriously, literally everyone was watching CM Punk even before he found a toolbox under the ring and somehow still didn't counter the shot to the head? How?
CM Punk... What he pulled out of the oh my God!
Once again, no selling done right. Jacob getting back up gets a major crowd reaction and from the commentators as well. That's a holy shit moment. Not like a Canadian destroyer being ignored multiple times in a row by wrestlers half the size. How the hell can I see 13 freaking logos on one entrance stage? Solo Sikoa wants to keep Roman Reigns from entering the match, not realizing that the match cannot officially start until Roman enters. All this will do is delay time for another couple minutes, plus Roman can just climb the cage too, so this plan backfires almost immediately.
The door has been locked.
The referee told Roman Reigns that he didn't have the key to this lock, and then Roman instantly asked for the key afterward. We all heard him, how did you not? Also, if I saw Solo lock the door, my first instinct wouldn't be to find the key because it's obviously with him. My first instinct would be to find bolt cutters and get this over with.
No conceivable way for Reigns to get back into this fight.
Corey Graves is a fucking idiot because Io Sky literally entered the WarGames match by climbing the cage earlier tonight. What do you mean no conceivable way for Roman to get back into this fight? Solo's intention was to keep Roman out of the match, but his entire team just stands around when Roman begins to ascend the cage. So, do you want him out or not?
Reed, face first off the...
Bronson is addicted to his own reads.
The match is officially underway.
Actually, it's still not. The bell has not rung for the match to start because the door is still locked, keeping the referees out of the cage. Match doesn't start until the referees say so. Where the fuck have you been this entire time, Paul Heyman? Especially when the issues between Roman Reigns and CM Punk were going on inside the shark cages. Without a doubt, this is the worst time to be a cameraman in between the two rings when 10 wrestlers are literally fighting each other in the enclosed space.
Caught up in the ropes, and a spear!
Because of the ongoing issues, even with Paul Heyman's encouragement moments ago, this scene of Roman Reigns accidentally spearing CM Punk made us all gasp and our hearts stop in unison. That's how you know this is awesome.
Jacob Fatu. Oh!
Jacob Fatu slipped on the rope and botched the moonsault attempt on CM Punk, but then he immediately played it off as him suffering a leg injury to keep it going. Smart move on his part to improvise on the error. This is adding into why Jacob is one of the breakout wrestlers of 2024, and he hasn't even accomplished much this year either. Much as I want to remove Sins for Bronson redoing the tsunami from the top of the cage through a table, I always knew this was a bad idea, because there's a reason wrestlers his size don't normally do this. Due to his unfortunate landing, he shattered his ankle, and I cannot remove Sins for legitimate injuries in situations like this. If Bronson couldn't get himself to land properly in the ring from that height, then he shouldn't be doing that at all. Sorry if that rubs some fans the wrong way. Jimmy Uso did successfully land from his splash off the top of the cage, but unfortunately, even he got injured from that. Multiple injuries off one single WarGames match, and they were both from risk-taking maneuvers off the top of the cage. Think it's time to give WarGames a rest next year and go back to traditional Survivor Series. Solo Sikoa is all alone, and this sequence shows how small and vulnerable he really is despite labeling himself as the Tribal Chief. A Tribal Chief doesn't look frightened in a situation like this. Solo truly was just a kid here who wanted more when he wasn't ready, and it's fantastic storytelling. Won't lie, great as it was when the original Bloodline won the match, this post-match celebration went on way too long and had everyone believing something was going to happen or someone was going to show up. But nope, the last 12 minutes of the show was just everyone watching the Bloodline celebrating the cage, leaving the rings, walking to the stage, posing once again on the stage, and that's it. It took CM Punk a lot less time to show up last year when he did.